Hey Houston, I'm meteorologist Kim Castro. How are you doing? Yesterday was pretty loud, wasn't it? We had some crazy storms in the evening with not just the heavy rain, but hail, wind, lots of lightning. This morning we actually kind of started off similarly. There were a couple of strong storms, especially north of the I-10 corridor. I'm still tracking a little bit of rain, but right now it's just that. Cypress to Katy, some lighter rain showers up to 90 near Hempstead. That's where there's some flashes of lightning. The big picture shows a lot of the activity is starting to come to an end. It's fizzling out for our west siders. So Brenham to Columbus, there's some steady moderate rain, and all that lightning is now pushed out of Matagorda. So it's out of our hair, which is very nice. So how much rain did we see throughout the overnight hours into the noon hour? 12-hour totals show us it wasn't really that bad. Half an inch to an inch of rain for most spots. Now if I get really granular with it and zoom in, the dumping of rain, 2.5 inches just about. Garwood area, pretty moderate. I'd say about an inch of rainfall, and that is it. So not too shabby. Okay, here's a live look across the area. Not seeing any rain anymore. So Hobby Airport, this is not a camera view at Hobby Airport, but this is actually looking out towards the Beltway. So looks nice with some clouds overhead. Herman Park, nice bubbling clouds there too. This is from our camera over at Hotel Zaza. Looks out towards the Met Center, and there's Mr. Houston enjoying a little bit of sunshine for today, and that sunshine is going to heat us up quite quickly. So not a bad day to head down to the island. Maybe you have the day off. I don't know who does, but if anybody does, maybe you want to go out and enjoy that in the water. Okay, what are we going to see throughout the next 3 days? Your high temperature today, pretty toasty, 99 degrees. That 40% chance for storms, I think most of the activity actually wrapped up for the first part of the day, so I think the rest will be easier in terms of commuting to get to where you're going. Tomorrow, a 50% chance for storms. So yes, the threat for more downpours returns, and the heat is still here. So we're going to make it up close to, if not hitting 100 degrees for our Wednesday. For our Thursday, rain chances continue to climb, and that will actually start knocking down temperatures into the low 90s. Flood risk for today was mainly for our west siders. It's a 1 on the 1 to 4 scale, and as we saw, things are winding down, so it's not bad. Now what's coming up is high pressure is starting to shift out west. And what that means is we are going to create an even bigger opening to see a few waves come in here and stir up the rain potential. So like I said, from here on out, rain chance is going to peak all the way through Friday. And then by the coming weekend, you'll still have a chance for those afternoon storms, but not as significant. 20 to 30%, that's not bad. No reason to cancel plans. Flood risk for Thursday is going to be the highest. You saw that 70% chance for downpours. And notice it encompasses all of us. So that's going to be a day that you do want to monitor, especially if you had plans that you were trying to get to. If the rain starts coming down pretty heavy, you might have to reassess. Because remember, some of those areas with poor drainage, low-lying zones, they can create problems pretty quickly. So it turns into, an issue with ponding, especially along the curbs, to then high water, and then eventually localized street flooding. We see that happen when we get really quick downpours in a short amount of time. So that's something to watch on Thursday. For today, though, it's just all about the heat and the humidity. Bush Airport's at 92, but it feels like 103. Sugar Land is at 89, but it feels like it's 100 degrees, and it almost feels like it's 100 at Hobby Airport, too. 92 is actually a little bit less hot than it was yesterday, and all that heat that we had yesterday was actually a big contributor to why we saw those evening storms. Heat, humidity, those are the ingredients that build on those towering clouds that eventually bring us a charge of electricity. And if we get enough of that instability, the clouds grow tall enough, they start forming those ice crystals and eventually bring us the hail. So we actually don't want those temperatures to get as hot as they got yesterday, because we don't want to have more instability this afternoon. So I do think we top off at 99. Yesterday we actually made up to 101. There's a small chance for an afternoon storm, even though the models are not picking up on it. So that's good. At least the models don't think anything's going to happen this afternoon. I still think maybe a 20% chance for 1 or 2 isolated storms. Just keep that in the back of your mind. For tomorrow, quiet start to the day, but then in the afternoon and especially the evening, that's when I think the storms start to blossom. So if you had anything, try to look at your calendar right now. If you had an appointment after work or you're going to a late night dinner, that's going to be a little bit messy. And it could be another evening that we see some of those louder storms with hail and wind. So just keep an eye out for that. Rain potential is not going to be that significant. There are going to be very localized areas that could pick up 2 to 3 inches of rainfall over the next few days. But for the most part, 1 to 2 inches, that's going to be manageable. So that's why you see that we're under that marginal level 1 threat for localized street flooding. We could see a few spots pick up enough rain to cause issues on the roads, but we'll be monitoring that. And if we see a trend where an area is getting a little too much rain in a short time span, we'll make sure to warn you. Just have the app downloaded, which I'm sure you do, and then make sure that the alerts are turned on so we could send those push alerts to your phone. Here's an update on Hurricane Erin. It is a Category 2 storm at this point, and we still have to watch for threats though. So you'll notice Turks and Caicos, the Bahamas, under tropical storm watches and warnings, and some of those even extend into the U.S. Why is that? Well, there's going to be residual effects. At least there's no direct impacts from Hurricane Erin as it is curving out towards the Atlantic side of things, so not going to the eastern seaboard. Regardless, though, it still has some pretty good strength by the tail end of the week, and so for that reason, it is going to not just stir up the water, which is going to create some wave heights at 18 to 23 feet, but it's also going to clip at least North Carolina, maybe even into Virginia, with the outer wind field. And so there's going to be some strong wind impacts here too. So 45 to 55 miles an hour, which is why there's that tropical storm warning in effect. There are a couple evacuation orders too, just for that threat of the waves moving onshore. That's going to be something that is monitored pretty delicately. Remember, it doesn't have to be a direct landfall impact for a strong storm like that to cause issues. And there's 2 other areas that we have to watch right on its heels. So even as Erin churns out north of Bermuda, there's going to be more development right behind it. 2 areas that I am tracking: this central Atlantic area that I've been talking about the last few days, still at a 60% chance for development. Now a new wave off the west coast of Africa with a decent chance for development too, 30%. So what I'm going to be watching is, where are these clusters expected to track? So the good news right now is the one in the central Atlantic is expected to track north, take a similar track as Erin, maybe a little bit further east, so could see some impacts to Bermuda there, but away from the eastern seaboard, so that's good. Now, the second wave looks to take a southerly path, and that would be good too, because the closer a storm is to the equator, it loses its Coriolis effect. So it loses its spin, and it wouldn't have as much of an impact, not to mention it would just glide along South America and then push into Central America. We'll have to watch it closely though, because any shifts in the model trajectory would sound some alarm bells. Now, if these 2, well, at least one of them merges a little bit closer to the center and has a potential track towards the Caribbean, then it would become our problem. And in the month of August, all of these scenarios are possible. So we saw Erin take this track. We're thinking that 60% chance blob is going to take that similar track. And the 30% blob is thinking of going in this direction, which is also a possibility. But notice a likely scenario for this time of year is pushing into the eastern Gulf or just straight up the middle of the Gulf as well. So that's why we'll have to just monitor it very closely. 7-day forecast back here at home looks like this. So today and tomorrow, some pretty hot days. A chance for storms. I think today it's pretty low in the afternoon. Tomorrow, though, afternoon and evening will be time for him to watch. Thursday, keep an eye on it all day. I think we have several opportunities for Thursday. And then Friday will be another day where the rain kind of cools us off a little bit. 50% chance is significant. As we go into the weekend, rain chances are still around, but they drop off. And so that means that the heat will be building back in. Okay, we have got another update for you coming up at 4 o'clock with meteorologist Pat Kavlin. And then Chief Meteorologist David Paul will walk you through the forecast at 5, 6, and 10. We'll see you